Hi students. Today we're going to start a new read aloud and I am extremely excited for this read aloud. I have heard wonderful things about this book, although I have never read it myself. It is called The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane by Kate D. Camillo and illustrated by Begum. I don't know how to pronounce this name. Here it is. Illustrated by Bagram Tulane. Eba Tulane. I don't know. Anyways, I am really excited to start this story with you guys today. Thank you so much for joining this read aloud if you're choosing to do that. And we're just going to go ahead and get started. But first, I'm going to read you the little paragraph in the back here. And when you are checking out a book in the library or you want to know what a book is about, I would suggest to turn to the back, or sometimes it's even on the front cover of the hardback books, and just reading it to see if it sounds like something that you might be interested in. Once, in a house on Egypt Street, there lived a China rabbit named Edward Tulane. The rabbit was very, very pleased with himself, for he was owned by a girl named Abilene, who treated him with the utmost care and adored him completely. And then, one day, he was lost. All right, so this book is about a little rabbit, a little China rabbit. We're just going to go ahead and dive right in. Chapter 1. Once in a house on Egypt Street, there lived a rabbit who was made almost entirely of china. China is like a porcelain material. Okay, so it kind of is like this vase a little bit, like it's a hard material. He had china arms and china legs, china paws, and a china head, and a china torso, and a china nose. His arms and legs were jointed and joined by wire, so that his china elbows and china knees could be bent, giving him much freedom of movement. His ears were made of real rabbit fur, and beneath the fur there were strong, bendable wires, which allowed the ears to be arranged into poses that reflected the rabbit's mood: jaunty, tired, and happy. His tail, too, was made of real rabbit fur and was fluffy and soft and well-shaped. The rabbit's name was Edward Tulane, and he was tall. He measured almost 3 feet from the tip of his ears to the tip of his feet. His eyes were painted a penetrating and intelligent blue. In all, Edward Tulane felt himself to be an exceptional specimen. Only his whiskers gave him pause. They were long and elegant, as they should be, but they were of an uncertain origin. Edward felt quite strongly that they were not the whiskers of a rabbit. Whom the whiskers had belonged to initially, what unsavory animal, was a question that Edward could not bear to consider for too long, and he did not. He preferred, as a rule, to not think unpleasant and sad thoughts. Edward's mistress was a 10-year-old dark-haired girl named Abilene Tulane, who thought almost as highly of Edward as Edward thought of himself. Each morning after she dressed herself for school, Abilene dressed Edward. The China rabbit was in possession of an extraordinary wardrobe composed of handmade silk suits, custom-fitted shoes fashioned from the finest leather and designed specifically for his rabbit feet, and a wide array of hats equipped with holes so they could easily fit over Edward's large and expressive ears. Each pair of well-cut pants had a small pocket for Edward's gold pocket watch. Abilene wound this watch for him each morning. So basically, Edward is a really fancy China rabbit, and the little girl who takes care of him is Abilene. And He has the best clothes that he wears, and he is just like the most fashionable rabbit around. "Now, Edward," she said to him after she was done winding the watch, "when the big hand is on the 12 and the little hand is on the 3, I will come home to you." She placed Edward on a chair in the dining room and positioned the chair so that Edward was looking out of the window and could see the path that led up to the Tulane front door. Abilene balanced the watch on his left leg. She kissed the tips of his ears, and then she left, and Edward spent the day staring out at Egypt Street, listening to the tick of his watch and just waiting. All of the seasons of the year, the rabbit most preferred winter. For the sun set early, and then the dining room windows became dark, and Edward could see his own reflection in the glass. And what a reflection it was! What an elegant figure he cut! Edward never ceased to be amazed at his own amazingness. Wow, so he's like in love with himself. He thinks he's the coolest rabbit around. In the evening, Edward sat at the dining room table with the other members of the Tulane family. Abilene, her mother and father, and Abilene's grandmother, who was called Pellegrina. True, Edward's ears barely cleared the tabletop. And true
hey
also.
Guys, today we are going to read.
Sorry guys, I had another video that was on my laptop and it started playing. All right, anyway. True also, he spent the duration of the meal staring straight ahead at nothing but the bright and blinding whites of the tablecloth. But he was there, a rabbit at the table. Abilene's parents found it charming that Abilene considered Edward real and that she sometimes requested that a phrase or the story be repeated because Edward had not heard it. "Papa," Abilene would say, "I'm afraid that Edward did not catch that last bit." Abilene's father would then turn in the direction of Edward's ears and speak slowly, repeating what he had just said for the benefit of the China rabbit. Edward pretended, out of the courtesy to Abilene, to listen. But, in truth, he was not very interested in what people had to say, and also he did not care for Abilene's parents and their condescending manner towards him. All adults, in fact, condescended to him, which means they did not treat him very nice. Only Abilene's grandmother spoke to him as Abilene did, and one equal to another. Pellegrina was very old. She had a large, sharp nose and was bright black eyes that shone out like dark stars. It was Pellegrina who was responsible for Edward's existence. It was she who had commissioned his making, who had ordered his silk suits and his pocket watch, and his jaunty hat and his bendable ears, his fine leather shoes, and his jointed arms and legs, all from a master craftsman in native France. So he was specially made in France, and it sounds like Abilene's grandma Pellegrina was responsible for that. It was Pellegrina who had given him as a gift to Abilene on her 7th birthday. And it was Pellegrina who came each night to tuck Abilene into her bed and Edward into his. "Will you tell us a story, Pellegrina?" Abilene asked her grandmother each night. "Not tonight, little lady," said Pellegrina. "When?" asked Abilene. "What night?" "Soon," said Pellegrina. "Soon there will be a story." And each night she turned off the light, and Edward and Abilene lay in the dark of the bedroom. "I love you, Edward," Abilene said each night after Pellegrina had left. She said those words, and then she waited, almost as if she expected Edward to say something in return. Edward said nothing. He said nothing because, of course, he could not speak. He lay in his small bed next to Abilene's large one. He stared up at the ceiling and listened to the sound of her breath entering and leaving her body, knowing that soon she would be asleep. Because Edward's eyes were painted on and he could not close them, he was always awake. Sometimes, if Abilene put him into his bed on his side instead of his back, he could see through the cracks of the curtains and out into the dark night. On clear nights, the stars shone, and their pinprick light comforted Edward in a way that he could not quite understand. Often, he stared at the stars all night until the dark finally gave way to the dawn. Oh, wow. This story is amazing so far. What beautiful writing, right? This author writes with so much detail that I can really picture Edward in my head and Abilene, and I can picture them falling asleep and Edward just staring up into the night sky because he can't sleep because his eyes are painted open. So that chapter 1 kind of just kind of described what Edward looks like and how he came to be in Abilene's house. So Pellegrina, which is Abilene's grandmother, got Edward as a birthday gift from France. So he's a very, very special rabbit, and I cannot wait to see what adventures he goes on in this story. And I hope you're really excited to go on the adventures too. So I will see you tomorrow, and I hope you are having a wonderful day.